everybody, welcome to the Fibre Nerd podcast. My name is Allison Barnes and I live in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada with my husband, my son, and my 3 cats, Wicket, Cricket, and Kennedy. This is episode 15. I will have to check that. If this is your first time watching the podcast, thanks for coming and checking me out today. And if you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back. I hopefully will not mumble my words too much today. I guess I will start with some of the admin stuff first. The Fibre Nerd podcast is a podcast about knitting, crocheting, hand-dyeing yarn, and other crafty things that I like to do. The cats are in the room with me right now, so they may make a little bit of noise. The podcast has a Ravelry group called Allison Barnes Yarnies, where you can find information about my hand-dyed yarn company, the podcast, and any knit-alongs that we are doing. And we are currently doing a knit-along for the Sunshowers Shawl by Inese Sang. It is a knit pattern. It's a crescent-shaped shawl using 2 colors of fingering weight yarn, and the knit-along goes until June the 3rd. So if you would like to participate, get yourself a copy of the Sunshowers Shawl. It is available for purchase on Ravelry, and cast on and join us in the group. I think that's it. Oh, today is Monday, April 16th, and it is gray and overcast and trying to rain and snow today. And even though it's kind of gross outside, one of the cats wants to go out. But they're inside cats, not outside cats. Let's see. This weekend, what are you doing? What? The cat's falling. Come here. Come here. This weekend, my son and I went to a market together on Saturday. It was the Indie Handmade Market in St. Albert, and he did really good. Normally he makes me hurry up and go really quickly when I want to look through a market, but this time he did really well. And I made a few purchases while I was there, and I thought I would share them with you today. The first thing I purchased were these pins, these enamel pins from Majesty and Friends. Hi, this is Kennedy. Hi, Kennedy. And she's just gonna sit on my lap. This is the pin that I really wanted because it's funny and I have cats. Then this pin says North Side Still Alive because I grew up on the north side of Edmonton and I'm still here. I survived, and because I was Julie's first customer of the day, I got to pick out a free pin. So my son picked out this gray cat because our Kennedy is a gray cat. I also bought a couple other little things from Julie's booth, but I can't show them because they are gifts, just in case the gift recipient watches. I don't want to spoil the surprise. You can see Kennedy here. She's the baby. Hi. So continuing along the market, I ran into a few friends that were there since I am also a maker, and I do markets around Edmonton. I have met quite a few of the makers in our city, but one of the makers that is not from Edmonton that I really wanted to check out their booth was a potter from the Okanagan, I believe. And I've always wanted one of their mugs. Their company is called ShprixieLand, and they make these really cool mugs. And you can follow them on Instagram, and I will put their information in the down bar, and I'll probably put it on the screen as well. And it just fits perfectly in my hand. I just have water today. So I was really happy to finally purchase one of their mugs. And then the last thing I purchased, I think it was the last thing I purchased. What else did I buy there? Oh, I bought my dad a birthday present, but he already has that, so I can't show that off. But the last thing I purchased at the, bless you, the last thing I purchased at the indie handmade market was a print. This is Cookie. She is still in her plastic packaging, but this is a print of an original painting of a cow by Crystal Driedger, and Crystal is from Sherwood Park, and she takes photos of cows on her family's farm when she goes out there, and then she paints them. And she's also a wood carver and illustrator and an all-around lovely gal. This is what the original painting looked like. It was quite big, and I actually have a bookmark of Cookie. That was the first print of Cookie that I have, and now I get to have an 8x10, so I need to find a white frame and add it to my gallery wall in my living room. Very, very happy about that, because I love Cookie. I like all of the cows that Crystal paints, and chickadees too. I have an original chickadee painting by Crystal. So that's it for the indie handmade market. On Sunday I got to join up with a few ladies in a local knitting group, well, knitting and crocheting. And we get together every couple of weeks on a Sunday. We meet at a coffee shop, and this week I took my son with me again because my husband was busy. And honestly, I got to stay like an extra hour longer than I expected to stay, especially with my son. He usually is good for an hour, and then he's ready to leave. What? Oh. Hello. That's Cricket meowing in the background. Well, maybe we'll get into some knitting content. I put a fair amount of work on my 2 works in progress this week, so I can share those with you. Should we start with the Sunshowers Shawl? Okay. Sunshowers Shawl is in this project bag that I made a couple years ago. And I've made a fairly good amount of progress on the shawl. It is grown. And I have 2 more repeats of the pattern to do before I get to part 2. So let's see. I'm using my High Sharps interchangeables. Are you gonna go? Are you gonna go play? Are you gonna go play? No? I can't remember what size. Probably size 4mm? No. Hi! Whatever the pattern called for, that's what I'm using on a 40-inch cord. And the yarn, the main color is by Sea Turtle Fiber Arts on their Ridley sock base. And I'm really enjoying knitting with this yarn. It's so smooth and round. It is a bit of a heavier fingering weight, and I love this color. This color, for me, I would make a whole sweater for myself out of this yarn. I love the way the main color is black, and then you get these, I don't know if it's gonna work. It's really bright in here because I've got sun, well, there's no sun, it's overcast but bright, and then it was really shadowy on the other side, so I put my overhead light on just to try and help with that. But you can kind of see how the colors are coming out. It would just make a really amazing sweater. I don't have the colorway name, it's not on the ball band, so this skein was a gift for Christmas. Yeah, so that's how that one's going so far. I would really like to get the last 2 pattern repeats done this week so that I can start on color 2 soon. And so now I'm going to show you the progress on my Backshore sweater. The Backshore sweater is a pattern by Alicia Plummer, and it is a DK weight sweater, and I'm using 2 colors and striping them. And I haven't picked this one up for a few days because I was working quite steadily on the Sunshowers Shawl for the last few days to try and get those repeats done. But as you can see, I have the top of a sweater. So the yarn I'm using is the first color is First Day of Spring by Haven Fibre Arts, and the second color is my own hand-dyed yarn company Allison Barnes yarn in the color Faded Denim, and I'm striping those, and I think it's kind of fun and sporty. I did try it on and it fits my shoulders. I just because the cord is smaller than my bust, I couldn't actually get it over my bust, but so far I'm really liking it. And yeah, once I get a little bit more done on the Sunshowers Shawl, I will get back to my Backshore so that I can keep working on the body, because it's just stockinette all the way down, a few shaping rows, a few decreased rounds, and then I'll get to do the sleeves, and yeah, then I'll have a nice spring sweater. So that is that. The needles I'm using, again, are Hiya Sharps interchangeables, and I'm using whatever the size is in the pattern. I got gauge with the recommended size, so that's what I'm using. Let's see. I did start a new project this on Friday, I think. At last week's knit group, we were talking to a friend about she wanted to learn how to crochet, and so we started talking about crocheting a granny stripe blanket, and my friend Ashley and I decided to start our own crochet granny stripe blankets, and now we're kind of hosting a really informal crochet along on Instagram. So if you want to join us, you can post your granny stripe blankets on Instagram and use the hashtag GRANNYSTRIPEALONG, and we are happy to see you guys join us. So I'm just going to grab my bag. Oh, I forgot to mention, my Backshore sweater is in my yarn party bag by Andrea's Handspuns, and I'll put her information in the down bar for you so that you can buy your own yarn party bag. It's perfect for multiple skein projects. So my crochet granny stripe blanket is in my Gingersnapthat sheet bag, and I'm just using scraps from leftover knitting projects, and I've only got 2 rows done. So this is my long crochet snake. I'm making my blanket about 5 feet wide. I measured a blanket that I had crocheted before that I liked the size of, and it measured at 52 inches. So I did a swatch crocheting with a 3.25 millimeter hook. I'm using a clover hook. Can you even see? No, probably not. It's one of the smallest hooks that I own, and I thought it would be comfortable to crochet with and give a nice texture using the fingering weight yarn. So for my own blanket, I believe I did a chaining stitch of 225, and the first row back is single crochet, and then the next row back after that is the start of your granny stripe or your granny square. So it's 3 double crochet, skip 2, 3 double crochet, skip 2, all the way to the end. And then when you return, you just do the double crochets in the spaces between the double crochets. And so I have a whole bunch of scraps that I will be adding to my blanket, and Ashley and I have decided that once we put one of our colors in our blanket, we're going to swap scraps so that we can crochet each other's scraps into each other's blankets. So that sounds like fun. This is going to be coming with me to knit night on Tuesdays, at least until the blanket gets a little too big and heavy. Then I won't bring it anymore. But I probably can only add maybe 20 rows or so onto this at the moment, because I don't have a lot of scraps, and a lot of my scraps are really small, so they won't even reach all the way across for one complete row. Another thing that I started working on this week was prepping some roving for spinning. I found, I have a storage trunk that I've been keeping hand-dyed roving in, and I had some old roving that I dyed probably a couple years ago that I kind of forgot about, but I don't really want it to go to waste. So I had an idea that I wanted to kind of spin a rainbowish yarn, like a scrappy kitchen sink type yarn. So I took all of the roving that I had and I split it, and I started pre-drafting the roving and making small chunks of it, and then just putting it all together so that when I do start spinning it, I can just kind of grab one randomly every time, grab a different color randomly, and spin and then spin it together into one yarn. So I spent some time pulling apart some roving. So I've got all of this ready so far. These are my colors. Kind of like a circus theme. This is what I have. And it's 100% merino. It's non-superwash, and it's very soft. And I was just pulling these, pre-drafting and pulling tufts of wool apart while I was watching a podcast last week. And I still have tons of colors left, so I don't know when I'm actually going to start spinning this, but I have a really good amount to get started anyway. And I don't know if I want to just keep them as singles or if I want to ply them, because plying to me is one of the most boring parts of spinning. I like spinning, but I really don't like plying, so I'm not sure exactly what I want to do yet. The funny thing is after I pre-drafted and pulled all of those pieces of roving, I felt like I had whiplash a day or two after that lasted a few days, and I don't recall doing anything else that could have possibly given me whiplash except for straining when I'm pulling, because some of this roving is old and it's been sitting a long time, and it's gotten compacted because it was sitting in the braids for a long time. So you really do need to, you know, fluff it up and everything. Like, it looks really fluffy, and it is really fluffy after you've, you know, worked it. But I think just the repetitive motion of pulling that apart just strained the muscles here. I was sore for days. But at least that little bit's done now. The rest of it is in a basket behind my camera, and it's massive, and it hasn't been pulled yet. That is for another many days. Okay, so this week I have some stash enhancements. Last Tuesday was the 1-year anniversary of a knitting group, well, knitting and crocheting group that I go to out in Sherwood Park, and it's called the Yarning. And I started going there personally in, I believe, May of last year, but they first started getting together back in April. So to celebrate their 1-year birthday, we had our usual get-together at a coffee shop in Sherwood Park. The coffee shop is called Common Ground Community Cafe, and the address is 50 Brentwood Boulevard. So if you ever feel like coming out to see what our knitting group is like, please feel free to come. We meet every Tuesday, and we meet at from 6:30 till 10 o'clock at night. 10 o'clock is when the cafe closes. And we're a big group. We have all abilities. We have crocheters, knitters, so bring whatever you want to bring to work on. If you need help, there's loads of people there that can help you. If you want to just come and have a coffee and ask questions or watch us knit or crochet, you can do that too, until you feel comfortable to, bring your own project and work with us. We have a lot of new knitters, a lot of experienced knitters, so just come on out and meet us. So for the first birthday, we had quite a few people donate prizes, including myself. I did donate a prize of a yarn and a pattern, and you'd be surprised how many indie dyers there are in the Edmonton and surrounding areas. And we had indie dyers donate yarn, and there are a lot of other crafty people in the group, like Andrea, who does the yarn party bags and that kind of thing. So I think there were like 15 prizes, and they did draws every half hour or so. They pulled a few names at a time, and my name was picked, and it was picked right near the end. And I picked out a bag, and you didn't know what it was because it was covered with tissue paper, and you pick up a bag and you get to open it. And I was shocked and so happy when I picked this prize from Rose Hill Yarn. Robin was actually there that night, and she had a little pop-up shop at the cafe for our 1-year anniversary, and I went through some of her bins, and I was trying to be good because I know that the Fibre Frolic is coming up, and when I go there, I do plan on spending a lot of money. I would really like to buy some sweaters quantities of yarn, and Robin's booth was one of the ones that I definitely wanted to check out. This color was my favorite of all the ones that she brought to our knit night last week, and I was sorely tempted to buy one, at least one. And so when I picked my prize and I looked inside and I saw this, I just about died. It's so pretty. It is a fingering weight yarn. It's called Vivid Imagination. It's a full skein and a mini. And you guys, it's so soft. It's a 2-ply, 75-25, 463 yards. And I'm not sure how many yards are in the mini, but they go perfectly together. But to me, this needs to be somewhere up here, not on my feet, because I want to show it off and I want to wear it next to my face. So maybe it'll go into a garment of some kind. Maybe I'm going to buy more of this color to make a garment completely out of this yarn, or maybe I'll add it to some other colors to go into some kind of faded sweater or top, but I love it. And I'm just thrilled with this yarn. So last week I also made a purchase of some yarn. What is it, Cricket? Yeah? I was watching the Midknit Cravings. Well, actually, I don't know if I don't think the podcast is called Midknit Cravings, but on the podcast, Jaden is it Tara or Jaden that does it? I think it's Jaden. She posted, where she showed off this color that she dyed for the anti-bullying campaign for the Fibre community. Well, not just the Fibre community, but anti-bullying in general. And this one is called Room for Everyone, and there is a hashtag on social media called Room for Everyone. And she's donating $5 from every skein of this yarn to a local anti-bullying project, either to a school or group. I bought 2, and I have plans to knit a cardigan. I'm thinking of the Timely cardigan, which is a striped, it has very narrow stripes. A striped cardigan out of this, and another color that has yet to be determined. So I don't know if I'll do a light gray with it, or I kind of like this pink. Maybe I'll do a pink and this color cardigan. I know it's pretty crazy, but I like bright colors and I would wear it. So I have a little bit of time to decide because I have a few whips that need to be finished before I cast on anything new. But these are going to go into a striped cardigan, pretty sure. So she is selling these in her shop. I'll put her information down below. And yeah, so these are for a fundraiser, and the reasons behind it really spoke to me. So I wanted to support her and the campaign, and be able to pretty much, you know, wear my heart on my sleeve and show everybody how I feel about standing up to bullying. So those are those. Something new and exciting is happening in my life. I have decided to open up my dye studio to dyeing classes. So if you're in the Edmonton area, or even if you're not and you want to travel into Edmonton, I am now accepting registrations for a couple of classes in hand painting yarn, and they're posted on my website at AllisonBarnesYarn.com. Look under the main menu for dye classes and you will find the listing there. We will get to dye 2 skeins of yarn, and I'm going to teach you all about dye safety and proper care of yarn and how to make dye stocks, make dilutions, and keep good notes so that you can replicate colors. So if you've always wanted to try dyeing yarn, or if you've dabbled in yarn and you want to learn some new techniques, please feel free to register. The studio is in my home. Our classes are going to be small, and you definitely get as much help as you need during the class. And the classes are not like the whole day. They're only a couple of hours. It's just enough time for us to play with color and have a lot of fun and learn something new. So tell your friends if you want to do the class. Maybe you and a friend can come together. If you've got a group of girlfriends that you want to all take the class together for a fun evening before or after you go to dinner, you can contact me if the dates are full and you need a date for a larger group of people. I can fit about 4 to 6 people in the dye studio while I'm teaching. So yeah, if you have any questions about that at all, you can always email me at AllisonBarnesCollection@gmail.com. That is about it. The next thing is shop update. The next shop update is Wednesday, April 18th. We're going to do it at 12 p.m. Mountain Standard Time again. And you can see all of this yarn up here is going into the shop. So I will pull down some of the skeins to show you what they look like up close and personal. And I'm just gonna pause the camera. So last week I dyed up a bunch of DK and some basic sock and even some lace weight. So I wanted to show you the colors that are going into the shop on Wednesday. And I'm going to start with You Had Me at Merlot. Where's a good shot of the color? It's not bad. This is the DK, and this is the basic sock. I have a few skeins each of those going in the shop. I also have Pink Champagne on DK and basic sock. I will have Whisper on DK and basic sock. Sorry, one of the cats is climbing on my shelves over there. I will have Frick It's Cold on DK. I have I Think We're Alone Now on DK. I have Silver Gray on DK. Prairie Rain will be back in stock on basic sock. There are still a few skeins on classic worsted. And the new color that I introduced last week, Mauve Sunset, has been dyed on lace weight, superwash merino. This is well, I've had this for a long time. I've never dyed it. I guess I've always been kind of scared to dye the lace weight for fear of it getting extremely tangled in the dye pots, but it turned out really well. I love the colors together. Mauve Sunset. So this is a new base that I'm carrying called Merino Lace. So you can find that in the shop on Wednesday. And I have 4 skeins of this one. That's it for this week, guys. I didn't make any show notes, so if I forgot anything, I'm terribly sorry, and I will try and remember to say anything about that next week. For now, don't forget to join the Ravelry group and join the chatter thread for the Sunshowers Shawl Knit Along, and post your works in progress on social media tagging Sunshowers Shawl KAL. And also, if you want to start the granny stripe blanket with my friend Ashley and I, you can use hashtag GRANNYSTRIPEALONG on Instagram. So thanks a lot, guys, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.